importance of it, or there's not enough wish to be free from these, not enough trust that we have a pure nature, that we could actually get it. Whereas there's a lot of trust that, to undergo chemotherapy and taking all these medicines who have like a lot of side effects and all this. Because why? Because we know we could have a healthy body. But we have very little energy, or very little energy goes into spiritual practices because we don't know that we could have a healthy mind. We don't have enough trust. Yeah, so then the next attitude is that we, in the Buddhist terms, or Buddhist case, we see the Buddha as the doctor, we see the teachings as the medicine, and we see our practice as the cure. Like having the medicine in your cupboard is not going to help. You need to swallow it. So that would be practice, is the cure. It's like, or the treatment, or whatever, yeah, it's a cure you call it, yeah. So if you have these attitudes when you start, and you develop them again and again and again and again, it's not just the first day of hearing teachings, it's like, every time you think, yeah, I'm sick, and yes, the Buddha is the doctor, yes, the Dharma is the medicine. My practice is the only cure that will work. And then having a wish also that these teachings will survive for a long time means, because you find it helpful, because some people say sometimes these teachings have changed my life, so you find it very helpful. So the best way for these teachings to stay around for a long time is what? If you behave like somebody, like a spiritual practitioner. You see, monks and nuns don't have hair and wear these clothes so that we're recognized as monks and nuns, so people know that they can trust us. So I used the example the other day, but everybody started laughing, but this is not what I wanted to say. I said, this is why people wear kippas, so that they can be trusted. It's a sign. If you have a suitcase and in the train station you need to go to the toilet, you can leave it with me, it's fine. Or if you need help, you can ask me, it's fine, I will try to help you. This is why we have these signs, in order to be, that people know that we can trust it. So can you imagine what it does if then you behave totally opposite? What it does to your belief system that you belong to, how much that is damaging. Yeah, you have great responsibility as a spiritual practitioner, actually. Now, whether others take this responsibility or not, this is none of our problem. But if you call yourself a spiritual practitioner, you should take that responsibility, that people are inspired by your behavior and not put off. Because that's the most damaging, or all these abuse by teachers or by the priests and all this is like what many people put so off, they're not even going to church anymore. Yeah, so a few can create so much havoc and really destroy the faith of people. So those are these attitudes. It's good when you start. Then now I have 5 minutes for the precious human rebirth. I think we can do it. So you go to page 4. So you have this ready, yeah? You have kind of some trust, the Four Noble Truths, there's suffering, there's the causes, I can stop the causes, and now is how, okay? So the first question you have to ask yourself is, do I have what I need to go on this spiritual path? Because as we said, it needs conditions. So then when you have these factors, we call this precious human rebirth, and we don't need to go through all of them, because again, they're very traditional. But we need to be free from certain things in order to be able to practice continuously, because the practice also, it's like it's a continuous thing. Now, I don't want to say that you can't practice when you are in pain or when you're sick, but maybe some of you have made the experience how difficult it is and how quickly it falls apart. I can see with myself, I had like 2 bone stuff, once a broken wrist, once the knee. My practice felt totally, really, the formal practice of sitting in the morning very diligently, doing the practices for about an hour and a half, totally fell apart. Yeah, it falls apart very, very quickly. Yeah? So we need to we need to be free from being born as a Helbi. So you can, if you want to write, you can say, what does that mean? Excruciating pain, 24 hours a day. or tremendous heat or cold. Yeah? I don't know how many people would come here if we wouldn't have air conditioning in the summer. Now it's okay, isn't it? I mean, that's great. So during the day it's hot, but during the night it's okay. I think you can switch off your aircon. Open the windows. It's cool outside. Yeah? Maybe you haven't noticed yet because the aircon is going. So, night it's cool up here, so. Okay. So that's this, you know. We have conditions so that we feel more or less comfortable. This is what we need. Being free from being born as a hungry ghost. These are places where, from the Buddhist teachings, Buddhist views, you can be reborn. Yeah? Do they exist or not? I don't know. But I definitely don't want to go there, just in case they do exist. Hungry ghost means never, ever finding enough in order to satisfy your very basic needs of food and drink. Constantly driven by thirst and hunger. So I don't know how many of you fasted on Yom Kippur. So that's 24 hours. Was it easy? Not very difficult. Not very difficult. But it's 24 hours and you have the certainty that you can drink, you know. So this is what we should do here once Yom Kippur, because also we had to save the food for the people who fasted, because the others seem to have come out of a hungry ghost realm, I don't know. People who did not fast, they were just eating and eating and eating and eating like mad. So we had to save the food for the people who fasted, so that the ones who wanted to go home once the stars are out, so they didn't have to wait another half an hour, which is terrible, isn't it? So that they could start eating before the stars were out, but still left some food at the end. At the end it was too much. But it was kind of, you know. So imagine you fast, and then there's no food. We already had a little problem because the dinner before was kind of not very extensive. So, you know, somebody said, oh, you know, I had decided to fast, but now the dinner was not enough food. There was enough, it was just not enough of everything. But there was enough. For us is enough of everything. So now I'm not fasting, so I said, well, you know, I don't know. But the disappointment, you see this kind of, and then, maybe we do it once. Maybe I leave all the food out for the people who do not fast. And take the water away also, no water. All of a sudden, oh sorry, can't drink the water, it's polluted. And see how people would react. See, so being born there, where your spiritual practice would go. So being born there makes it very, very difficult to practice. Then being free from being born as an animal. We will do a short reflection on this after the break, so we will go through that again. Why an animal? Why do we need to be free from being born as an animal? How many of you have been at Tushita? Okay, a few. How many dogs do they have now? When I was there, we had like 11 sometimes. Now I think it's 3 or something like that. So they live there their whole lives. Sometimes they come as puppies, sometimes because they just come and they're accepted by the others. But none of them has ever come and sat in a teaching. None of them has benefit. None of them has even become more compassionate about not growling when another dog comes to his bowl. Even they have enough food every day. You can explain it to them. Look, if he or she eats your food, I'll give you more. No. You know, when another one comes. That's what they don't understand. All they're interested is being comfortable, food, drink, sex, not too hot, not too cold. Then they're okay. Yeah. So, of course you can lead a life like this. Many beings lead a life like this. They say, yeah, I have what I need. Why should I do anything more than that? It's fine. Yeah. And sometimes they're not even content when they have what they need. It's like quite amazing. But the animals don't have that capacity, and also the animal realm is full of fear. There's a lot of fear in animals. You know, even at Tushita we had, I don't know now, but when I was still there we had rats, or sometimes the mice would make their nest behind the tankas. They would put their little ones there. And we left them. And we took them out, and we never killed them. We brought them out, let them free and all this. Still they were afraid, So, there's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of hunting amongst the animals also. It's quite crude. There's one thing, there's a lot of fear, and they're being exploited also, especially today. I just read 3 million something chickens got drowned in Hurricane Florence. Because why? Because they were locked into, where would they can't take them with them, because there's so many. If you have a dog, yeah, of course you can take him with you when you go, but who would take 3 million chickens? So we can make prayers for 3 million chickens to be reborn in a better state. So that's why it's not so great. You can end up as a chicken in one of these factories. From the Buddhist point of view. You don't have to believe it, but this is what the Buddhists would say. This is why you better think about when you eat meat, how you eat the meat. That you make prayers for this being who has given his life. So also, again, that can be totally hypocritical, or it can be genuine. It depends on you. May my life become meaningful because you have given your life. May I be the first one who teaches you how to reach enlightenment. And then you create a connection. Nothing is good or bad. It depends how it is being done. A long-living God. Why is that not so fantastic? I just described it, the long-living God. Yeah, I have what I need. Why should I sit and meditate? Look at me. I'm happy. I'm content. My kids are okay. My job is okay. I can pay my bills. I have much more than I actually need. I can be generous to others also, which many of these people are because they have so much. So there's nothing wrong with being rich, by the way. It's okay. If you share it with others, it's great. If you just keep it to yourself, then no joy and no fun, because there's fear. Yeah? But if you share it with others, then you'll find the joy of being rich. Yeah? Problem is nobody thinks that they are rich. How many of you are sitting here thinking that they're rich? Okay, so that means we can freely give whatever we have, because, the joy of giving, because we feel rich. And this is, if you don't feel rich, learn to give as much as you can. Then you will feel rich. If you think, oh, I'm poor, then you are poor. I can't give. No, I can't, I need this, I can't give it. Then, of course, you feel poor. You create your poverty. Whereas if you always kind of almost push a little bit more, you give as much as you can, all of a sudden you start to feel rich. And you create the causes to having abundance. And you get the immediate result of feeling, wow, I can give so much, how fantastic, Of course you can have a very stingy mind that says, oh great, like here, for example, the system. I tell you, it's so amazing. There's not many groups who have the courage to do that, to do everything on donation. So, but here, if you have a mind that's very stingy and say, wow, I can come here in 4 or 5 days and I don't need to give much. Yeah, it's some kind of happiness also, but it's not a very nice happiness. I'm sorry. It's a very narrow happiness again. It's a poverty happiness kind of thing. Hungry ghost or poverty mind. When you're happy that it was cheap. And how many of you speak German? Okay. Geiz ist geil. There's the slogan in Germany. Geiz ist geil. Geil is kind of sexy, but in a vulgar way. Kind of, and what is that, Geiz? Stinginess, or there's a better word for that. Stinginess is sexy, kind of. Then people go in these shopping malls and they look for the cheapest thing, and that's their pastime. So, yeah, we can also be like this. Then when they find something that is cheap, they're very happy. Usually it's crap. Either you buy something that's good quality, it costs something, or whatever is cheap is crap. So then make up your mind what you want. Where did you get? Oh, the long-living God. Yeah, the long-living God who has everything and seems not needing to do anything, and therefore then doesn't engage in spiritual practices. So if your life is not too good, again, be happy, because that can also be a hindrance for spiritual practice. Not living in a barbaric place. A barbaric place would be where, for example, it is forbidden to do spiritual practices, or where you only have one belief system and this has to be practiced and everything else is forbidden. That would be a barbaric place. Or where nobody practices is also a barbaric place. Yeah. Again, this is from the Buddhist point of view, so the barbaric place is like, it's not a central land where no Buddhists are there, but it's not exclusively to Buddhists. It's like where there's a lot of, you don't have the freedom of either not finding teachings or to enlightenment. Because here we're not talking about just any spiritual teachings. Here we're talking about paths to enlightenment. Yeah, so if you're born there, it becomes a hindrance. Or being free from having limited mental capacities. Because also then you don't understand and can't practice. So nobody is criticizing these animals or being with limited mental capacities. This is only about us. We're happy that we're free from being born from these. It might become more clear when we do the meditation. And you need to have, I know I'm going over time, but I think it's okay. The 10 endowments is having certain things that we need in order, now I'm saying it, not just any spiritual path, but in order to go on this path to enlightenment. Okay? So being human, we need to be human. So then being born in a central land with at least fully ordained monks, because it's usually those people who make a decision that the spiritual practice will be the purpose of their life that uphold the teachings. Yeah, it is said. Seems to be changing a little bit in the West. We have a lot of lay teachers also, so I don't know. But apparently there's a statement from the Buddha, when there's no more ordained monks or nuns, then the teachings will go downhill. It will become psychology, and it might be, I'm not sure, it might be then it's only about, again, happiness in this life. Using these methods for happiness in this life, which many teachers already do. Yeah. We take these methods and it's for happiness in this life. Then having all sense organs intact. Again, these sense organs are very fragile. And how many of you woke up this morning opening your eyes and saying, oh, wow, I can see. Oh, wow, I can hear. Boy, I can walk. Oh, I can smell. When your colleague was in the toilet, made caca, and you go there and you're, wow, I can smell. We take it for granted that these senses work. They're very, very fragile. They're very fragile. So if you taste something then at lunchtime and it's not so delicious, go, but I can taste. Can you imagine a life? I know people who undergo chemotherapy who have no taste anymore. Or a taste of metal, constant taste of metal. So all the food is like really disgusting. So for you it's just that particular food. The rest is, wow, I can taste. Okay? So this is how you transform everything. Precious human rebirth, to have this, see the preciousness and the fragility of it. It's so fragile, this whole thing. It can break any moment. Yeah. Then not having committed like really big crimes, like having killed your father and your mother without any regret, going into spiritual groups and kind of how to say, separating them, or like somebody was very realized to kill them or injure them and things like that. So these are what is called big crimes. So it's very difficult to sit and to look at your mind, because the bad conscience comes up again and again and again and again. Then you need to have faith in the teachings and your own ability to attain full awakening, if you want to go on this path to full awakening. Then we also need an enlightened being has appeared, so that in our case is Shakyamuni Buddha. He taught the path to enlightenment. This is what we are discussing here. The teachings remain in undegenerated state, which is it's a little bit going downhill, are still being practiced, because if you're the only one trying to have a good heart, I think we would give up very quickly. Also, it's already very difficult, when everybody thinks that you're naive and you're stupid and all this. It's very difficult to be kind these days. Looks like it, yeah? Because some people criticize you for that. Well, people only take advantage of you, you're stupid, and then you just tell them, look, this is my problem, I don't feel stupid, so it's okay. I like to help, it's all right, you know. But if you feel exploited, then of course stop. Yeah? But then you need to make a decision. Do I want to be benefit or do I want to be self-centered? Again, you know. Or you need to be very clear. If you give something, you say, I give until here, then finished. So at least the ones that you give to or the ones you help, that they know. You don't need to get angry. You can say no if you think it's too much. It's okay. You know, this is what I'm saying. Buddhist doesn't mean that you let people walk over you at all. But if you can, and if you have joy in giving, by all means, give help, you know, your time, money, this one maybe not so, you know, our advices. We're very ready to give advice to others what they should do. But give it to people who ask, not to the ones who don't ask. Yeah? With that, we're very ready to tell people what they should do, isn't it? We have this almost obsessive kind of thing, needing to tell other people what they should do. Me, it's my job here, so I'm okay. Okay, so the teacher are still being practiced, and people in general are kind-hearted. So having a kind heart, even those people who are telling you that you are naive, helping all these other people or volunteering in groups and not getting money and all this, even those people who say that, when you show them kindness, they still appreciate it. Yeah, so if somebody says you're naive, you stop being kind to them and they complain, then you tell them, oh, I stopped being naive. So then they understand what they're saying. Do you see what I mean? Or no? Is it going too fast? No?
I couldn't understand.
Huh?
I didn't understand the example.
You didn't understand?
The example you gave.
Yeah. So some people tell me, you know, you go there and you don't know whether we will get some money or not, and they say, I'm not going there for money anyway, and you don't know whether they will appreciate it or whatever, and they think that I'm naive. So if to those people, when I stop being kind to them, and I stop going when they ask me to come, and then they start complaining, of course, why do you go there? Why don't you come to me? Then I tell them, well, I stopped being naive and kind. So then they understand what they're saying is ridiculous. So that's what I meant. Okay, so we'll stop here. It's 11:15. We will make a break until 1/4 and then we'll do a short half-hour contemplation on these points, so that you get a feeling. The point of contemplating this is so that you get what I said, like, wow, I can hear, I can see, I am not full of pain. I am, I'm in a place where I can be a Buddhist. I'm in a place where we have freedom of speech, for example, still, more or less. There's teachings like this, so that we start to appreciate the situation that we have. It's only when you start to appreciating it that you will use it. If we take it for granted and we're going, a bit blasé, then we're not making use of it. So that's the point. So the point about this meditation is not for you to feel guilty for this topic, for you to feel guilty, I have all these good conditions, but I'm not using it in the right way. That doesn't help anybody. But to appreciate it, to have to see that, wow, I can make so many choices, what I want to do with my life. Okay? So, but now please have a break. We're still in silence, so please be mindful of that. And for those people who want to know about frustration, I'm not sure if I can still do long frustrations, because I've probably kind of pushing myself up, but I'll try. Anyway, I will explain not so much the physical thing, but more what it means. You can stay, and the other ones, please go, and have a break.